Hi, it's the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your September 2017 general readings. Thank you for joining us here today. Welcome to any newcomers. Always a special thank you for your likes, shares, subscribes, all your support, feedback, and comments. Thank you so much for those to my regular clients and to those of you who continue to keep me so busy with personal one-on-one readings. I'm still, as you can see from my background, still in Poland, still in Eastern Europe, although I should be back in the States mid-September. But as those who follow me regularly know, I travel quite a bit and I work just the same wherever I go thanks to the internet. So if any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, you can go to my YouTube channel's homepage if you haven't worked with me before and click on the About or Description button on my channel's homepage, which will give you a little more information, and my email address, which is Maggie, excuse me, #1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to do a reading with you. I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. So I'm pretty flexible with turnaround time. I'm usually able to get back with you within the same day of initial contact and almost always set up a reading live or recorded within a 1 to 2 week period of time. I do a wide variety of readings. So if you're interested, email me and we will go from there. So these are general readings. There's many of you watching. Of course, they're not going to mean the same thing to the same degree for everyone watching. They may resonate in one area of your life for some of you and another area of your life for others of you, which is why we always suggest that you watch your rising and your moon sign videos. They may play out a little more predictably for you or just give you additional insight and clarity into what's going on in your life. So we are looking at September 2017. This reading is for the fire sign of Aries, our Rams, the babies of the zodiac. Let us see what the month of September 2017 has in store for our Aries. Okay, Aries, we have the Eight of Cups and the Seven of Wands, Death and the Queen of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups, and the Eight of Wands and the Devil. From the bottom of the deck, overall energy and guidance is the Chariot. Pulling 2 cards for each week as we are looking at the month in its entirety from the beginning, even though I am recording these in the last week of August using the Gilded Tarot by artist Sarah Marchetti, which is the one I typically use for general readings. Like a lot of the signs this month, it looks like a contemplative month. I'm only about halfway through the signs for September, but it feels like for a lot of signs, and you're no different, there's contemplation on what to do about something, whether to bring something to an end and begin something new. Of course, it varies per sign. And for those of you watching this, the degree and intensity and area of your life it resonates in will vary because there's so many of you watching. But as I always say, the energy fundamentally remains the same. And it looks like you're struggling with what to do about a situation, whether to keep it, which would mean change for you on almost a fundamental level, or to let it go and walk away. And I feel like for a lot of you, this is going to be reflected in the relationship area of your life. Although for some of you, this may be a job, work, career path as well. You can always translate that energy into other areas of your life. Although I'm feeling a strong pull towards relationship, a primary relationship. It looks like it's reached a point. It looks like you're kind of at a crossroads in a relationship or a job and career. Some of you, it could be a project as well. We have the Eight of Cups, followed by the Seven of Wands. So the Eight of Cups, it's water energy here, which is usually reflected, the Suit of Cups, in the emotional, feeling, relationship area of our life. It's a card of walking away, of leaving something behind you which has turned out differently than you wanted. It can represent being having a strong sense of disappointment or disillusionment with something, turning your back on it, figuring out what direction you're going to go in, and moving away from it. Now, for some of you, I'm getting a few different messages here. So for a few different groups of Aries or whoever you're watching it for, some of you, I feel like you're in a relationship and the relationship itself has reached a crossroads and you're wondering whether you should walk away from this relationship because it maybe have turned out differently than what you thought it was going to do, or it's come to this crossroads in an unexpected way or sooner than you thought it would. And I'm getting a message too, and this is very specific, so maybe for a smaller portion of you. I know Aries. Aries tends to be, we call them the babies of the zodiac because it's the youngest constellation out there, and they're adventure seekers, often restless. Sometimes the joke is that they have the most to learn, but fiery, beautiful, lovely sign, Aries the Ram. But tend to be very independent and restless and sometimes have difficulty within long-term committed relationships. And the Eight of Cups, I'm getting for some of you for whom that might resonate more than others. What you may be considering leaving behind or feeling compelled to re-examine, to leave behind, or to change is the idea of holding on to a sense of independence outside of a relationship to the point where you have difficulties within long-term committed relationships. You may be at a point where I think this is maybe for an older set of Aries, you may be at a point where you're being asked or feeling compelled to kind of re-examine, do I want to leave this relationship because I'm holding on to this sense of almost a aggressive sense of independence because it's how I've lived my life so long? And if so, is it time for me to look at that? Is it time for me to change that? Some of you who are watching this for Aries, this may be about your partner as well, or an Aries partner. Some of you, it's you yourself. And some of you are just you've come to a place in a relationship, and again, this could be a project or a job or career path as well, where there's a crossroads, and in order to stay with it and to continue investing in this, it's going to mean that you're going to have to change, and perhaps on some fundamental levels. And there's a sense of maybe defensiveness around it. It's paired with the Seven of Wands, fire energy here, very action-oriented, fluid energy, manifesting creative energy. It's all about change and movement too. The Seven of Wands is a defensive card. Whether it's positive or negative, of course, no tarot card is standalone, and it depends on the cards around it and what the reader is channeling. There's a sense of, it can mean standing up for yourself or someone else, protecting, guarding, defending something you feel strongly in. Sometimes too much so, sometimes in a negative way. It can represent being overly defensive, overly guarded and protective. And I'm feeling that for a lot of you. There is a sense of whether you're on one end of this or the other, holding on to perhaps some behavior patterns and some life patterns that maybe you're thinking are no longer serving you, because in order to hold on to them, it may cost you an important relationship or an important job. Excuse me. Some of you may be in a relationship that you do need to walk away from, and you're being defensive holding on to that because you don't want to let go of it. And again, you can translate this area into other energy into other areas of your life as well. Now, next we have the major arcana card of death or transformation, along with the Queen of Wands. Now, I am feeling quite strongly for a lot of you this is a relationship issue, and the nature of that relationship can vary. It could be love and romance for some of you. It probably is for a lot of you, but it could be a different type of relationship as well. But it feels very connected and something that you've been investing in for quite some time. Death represents an ending or a total transformation of something that's already there. So in relationships, this could represent the end of a relationship or the complete transformation of this relationship, because that's what death represents. It represents a clearing out of ground so that, excuse me, I'm doing a lot of reading, see, I'm getting a little hoarse. It represents kind of a cleaning out of the ground, ripping out everything so you can prepare it for something new, plant new seeds, or transform what's already there. So it represents big change. Whether that's big change because of an ending or big change because of a transformation, even in a transformation mode of a relationship, for example, some things would need to go, a lot of things would need to go or change in a large way. Now, it's paired with the Queen of Wands, which would represent a fire sign, female or male, because this is a general reading. Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Somebody who's very fiery, action-oriented, dynamic, charismatic, great leader, probably quite easy on the eyes to look at. Good problem solver, somebody who tends not to rest on their laurels for very long. Good at getting the job done or inspiring and delegating other people to get the job done. It's also about, setting boundaries, and on an energetic level, setting boundaries, not being afraid to say what you feel and say what you want and need. So paired with death, some of you may be in a relationship with a fire sign individual. And again, for some of you, this is maybe representing an ending, contemplating whether you need to walk away from this relationship. Regardless of the nature of the relationship. For some of you, I'm almost getting like an even split for the relationship here. Some of you, you're in a relationship with this fire sign person, another fire sign person, or someone who strongly manifests the character traits of the Queen of Wands. And you're kind of stuck in between, do I leave or do I stay? Because staying for some of you would represent a complete and utter transformation of the relationship, which would mean a transforming and a changing of the people involved, you and the other person. So that's kind of the energy of where we're at here. And again, this could be a job, a career path, or a relationship in any one of those areas as well. Now, moving on, next we have two knights. We have the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups. Now, the Knight of Pentacles, knights usually represent something coming into your life with a lot of force and speed, offers and opportunities typically. So one of these is water and one of these is Pentacles. Pentacles is earth energy, so the slower moving form. On an energetic level, it can represent needing to pay attention to detail, needing to keep putting one foot in front of the other, be responsible, be accountable. And it can represent that what's coming into your life, an offer, an opportunity that's either coming in or that you're considering extending out, is tangible in nature. Sometimes it could be a job offer, it could be an offer of a tangible nature. In a relationship, it could represent taking the relationship or changing it to a more committed level, perhaps taking more responsibility in the relationship. Maybe you make the decision or begin to discuss the possibility of moving in with each other, of taking the relationship a little further. The Knight of Cups would be bringing offers and opportunities or messages or energy that's more emotional in nature. The Knight of Cups and two knights together, typically with two knights together like this in a reading, typically one of these is going to represent you and the other one will likely represent somebody else significant in your life. And because it's a general reading, there's so many of you watching. Some of you may be the Knight of Pentacles, some of you may be the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is much more of an idealist, kind of in love with love itself, sometimes has difficulty in following through. For the Knight of Pentacles, if the Knight of Cups might represent your partner or the person that you're in a relationship with or the other situation, it tends to be more visibly giving in nature as well, because it's water energy, so it's coming from a more emotional base. And hopefully this isn't confusing you. I feel like it's almost a little confusing to me. I feel like some of you are just, that this is a month basically of kind of internal being in your head, that you're considering. Some of you may be considering what to, I think most of you, whatever area of your life this is reflecting in, Aries, the fundamental energy is, do I continue investing in this? If I stay, what do I have to compromise? What do I need to let go of in order to transform? I feel like for a lot of you, you really want to hold on to whatever this is or whoever this is. But again, doing so represents a really fundamental shift and change in how you choose to live your life and how you choose to view yourself. And I feel like there's a small group of Leos out there who are older, who are kind of in this contemplative mode of being in a relationship with someone. Perhaps they're asking you for something more, for a deeper level of commitment or a goal to work towards, and it's something you haven't been focused on, and you've lived your life in a certain way, and in order to do this, you would have to change certain aspects of how you live your life and what your perspective is. And some of you are thinking, maybe it's time that I do this. Maybe my time of running around and being an island in the sea by myself is over. Maybe I need to change some things in order to keep this person in my life because it's very important. Or situation, you know, if this is reflecting in another area of your life. It's interesting. I feel it's kind of a month where this is turning over and over in your mind and your heart, and meanwhile you're kind of, you know, continuing to live life, put one foot in front of the other as well, but it is taking up a considerable amount of mental and emotional and spiritual energy for you. Now, at or towards the end of the month, we have the Eight of Wands paired with the Devil. 3 major arcana cards in this reading, Aries. So the Eight of Wands, typically a card representing communication, all different kinds of communication, face-to-face, phone, email, text, Skype, you know, you name it. We live in a technologically driven world today, so communication takes a lot of different forms now. Communication traveling swiftly back and forth. Sometimes it can represent communication we're waiting on. And if any of you are waiting on communication in the last half of the month, time being somewhat fluid, either to give or receive. If you're waiting for communication, it is coming. Looks like it may be coming at the end of the month. There may be a sense of instability with it because it's paired with the Devil, which can represent, it fundamentally represents instability, things being out of whack. Sometimes it can represent addictions, conventional addictions like drugs, alcohol, etc., temptations, unhealthy relationships, basically the scales being out of whack, things being out of balance, significantly out of balance because it's major arcana cards, so the energy is ramped up here, fingers of the divine. So there's some kind of perhaps imbalance towards the end of the month. And there may be, for some of you, and for some of you, it may be the person that you're in this relationship with or the other situation, communication is disrupted. It's not coming or flowing the way that you want it to. For some of you, you get so caught up in this contemplation, what do I do about this? You may be reticent in communicating completely or frequently with the other person because you still haven't quite worked out what to do in your head. Like how some readings go, there's a lot of different messages coming in for different Aries watching this or people watching this for the Aries sign. Because some of you are going to be on one side of this and some of you are going to be on the other side of this. You know, forewarned is forearmed. That's one of the primary reasons we do these readings, so we can get kind of a look ahead at what's going on, because even though we're creatures of habit and we often tend not to veer from the path, which is often why projected outcomes usually are predictive, but knowing that things will potentially probably be coming up in a certain time frame, you can lessen those or even negate them completely by making different choices. For example, if those of you that are trying to decide what to do about a relationship and your pattern is, you know, when you get into that mode, you tend to retreat and not communicate, and maybe that's a problem in your relationship, knowing that the last half of the month, that might be more of a temptation for you because you haven't figured out what to do yet. Knowing that ahead of time, you can choose to do something different. You can choose to keep up regular communication with your partner and just be honest if they ask you about it and say, you know, I don't know, I'm still thinking about this. I don't know what to do yet. Some of you may be waiting on communication from someone or someone you're in a relationship with, regardless of the nature of that relationship. And you're being asked to have balance too. And the other thing is that this can represent imbalance in the type of communication you have. You know, conflict issues in communication. You need to pay, it looks like whatever it is, you need to pay attention to communication when you're communicating with the other person that this is involved in, because I do believe there's another person involved in this, regardless of the nature of the relationship. Watch how you communicate. Make sure that you're honest and forthright, but that things don't get out of control and that emotions don't rule the day in the communications, because that can always make us say and do things that we may regret later. So be vigilant about that, Aries. Looks like just more of a contemplative month, trying to figure it out, trying to work it out. Is it time to change? Is it time to do something different? Should I stick to what I've always done and just walk away from this? Is it worth holding on to? And if so, what changes, what kind of transformations need to occur here? Your overall energy and guidance is the Chariot card, powerful major arcana card. This is a card of staying the course, persevering, determination, working hard, putting one foot in front of the other, utilizing all your resources. Sometimes it can be a card of aggression. Sometimes, and this is going to reflect for those of you that are specifically wondering if it's time to make some fundamental changes in how you live life and how you perceive yourself and your individuality, what it means to be in relationship to somebody else. And does it really mean that you're giving up something when you're in relationship to somebody else? And is that necessarily a bad thing or a good thing for you? How you relate in relationships. Sometimes the Chariot asks us to look at being overly assertive or aggressive, look at what we're holding on to and examine that, and perhaps make changes in that as well. Overall, it's a powerful card of staying focused on your goals, of moving forward, but being objective as well. So interesting reading, Aries. It may be confusing to some of you. There's certain aspects of it. It's because I have so many different stories in my head. Sometimes it's about trying to keep them straight and address it so that everybody who's watching this hears what they need to hear, which I usually believe happens anyway. It's a powerful reading, and I think even though it's one where it doesn't feel like there's a lot of action taking place or a lot of major decisions being made this month, it's prepping the way for major change and transformation in your life, whether you stay or whether you go. I think it's going to set the stage and send a message to yourself and to the people around you. So it looks like a very important month on an internal level. And that always means growth, newness, wisdom, evolution, which is why we're here. So an important, powerful, potentially impactful month, but it will continue to play out, I think, next month as well. So Aries, that pretty much wraps up your September 2017 reading. Thank you for watching it. I hope that you found it helpful and useful in some way. Again, if any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me and you haven't read with me before, you can go to my YouTube channel's homepage, click on the About Her description button. You can find my email address there. It is MAGGIE, the number 1, MCGUIRE@gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you. I do love and romance readings, compatibility chartings, career overviews, year overviews, gift readings, channel messages, and so on. Also, regular monthly and bi-weekly readings as well for those of you who are interested in package readings like that. So send me an email if you like, and we'll go from there. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the September 2017 mid-month readings. And until then, Aries, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. And I hope to see you back here again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.